Welcome to the highlights reel for the first game in my new series going for the Greater Gnoll Achievement, which involves getting a win with the Gnoll on every single background. Now, of course, we've already got Ice Elementalist and one other. We'll probably get those again when we come back around to it. But we're starting off with the Gnoll Chaos Knight. And I chose this one because I figured it would be probably the greatest challenge after coming off of Ashenzari, whose whole game plan is to control everything and give you all the information and reduce RNG and so on. So I thought we'd switch it up and go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum and get a little chaos going. So overall, this game was a 1-1. First time I tried it, really the first time playing Zom, and we got a win on it. So I'm really happy with that outcome. A little surprised, to be honest. But overall, Zom treated us quite well. Really a net benefit, with a couple attempts to murder us here and there. And a lot of fun, really. A good change of pace for me. So this video is going to be a mix of real-time commentary snippets that I'm taking out of the game and some narrative voiceover to go with sections where I can talk about tactics and things that are going on in the game to help you keep up with the storyline of what's happening here. So I hope you enjoy. Fight to survive, mortal. Crimson Imp. Oh, this is Zom. Okay. Blink, 4 damage. Am I more worried about the Quokka? Oh, I got him. I gave him haste. So we got an early set of mutations here, and they're pretty bad. Potion's less effective at restoring health, and occasionally lose the ability to read scrolls when taking damage. That second one matters much more in the late game when you're trying to read Blink to get away and save yourself. Matters much less in the early game when we don't have anything identified. But we're going to look to get rid of that ASAP. Funny thing is, this potions are less effective mutation stuck with us basically the entire game. I mean, I was fighting with it in depths. So, interesting to point out here. Now let's see what happens with an early Gnoll pack. We have a Zom summon that's following us around here. He steps in, he's got the healing buff. Everything according to plan. Attacking from behind minions. So that was on D4, and now we step down one more floor to D5. We're entering this little undead vault. When we're just about done with this, we get into a series of unique fights. So keep an eye on our mana, and then we're looking to cut down on the number of enemies. So we get them all, but before we can heal or recover, Grinder comes around the corner with his pet hound. This is generally a scary guy to come up against in the early game. That paralyze with the hound nearby is very scary. So we're just going to go straight to wand use, hit him with the mind burst every time that he pops up behind his hound. Now luckily he's slower than the hound in this case, so the hound is actually blocking line of sight for him, and I'm using that to my advantage to not get paralyzed. And every time he steps around the hound, I hit him again with another wand, and that ends up taking him down. And then as we step in to clear up those last minions, I get berserked. And just as that wears off and we get the slow debuff, around the corner comes Blork. So now we're in a bit of trouble. This is a scary situation. My back is close to a wall. If you saw in my last highlights reel, I had a little trouble positioning against Blork and their shock attack, which bounces off walls. So just checking all the damage that he can do here. The scariest damage is probably the Sandblast from 4 range. But I'm scared of the shock, so I put on my staff of Air Elemental, or my Air Elemental staff. Zom gives us the benefit of some brain worms, which really is a big help. And then it's just a matter of positioning with the bats. One of them gets mited by my Chaos Spear. And so I'm backing away, just looking for a good position to use wands again. Not too long later, we run into Joseph from across the room, and he's got range on us, but Zom decides to help out right away with a phantom, who immediately starts blinking him around the room. I don't know, for better or worse, really. He got more shots on me that way, but in the end it worked out. And then before we get a chance to heal, Erica comes around the next corner. Now she can shoot a bolt of venom through these plants at me, which is something I'm very worried about here. And so I'm getting close to where I can step around that corner and hide and run away if I need to, but then I'm attacking the mushroom to get my minions up close to her. And then we're just going for it while we still have this phantom. Zom thinks it's funny then all of a sudden, just as we're about to win the fight, to blink her away and cage us in. So she's going to come back from the top, and I'm just going to help her get to my minions before I lose that phantom. Our health and mana is pretty good going into this second part of the fight, and we take her down pretty easily. Now going into Lair, I wanted to give you a look at our spells. We've got Crocodile, Animate Dead, and Vile Clutch online. A nice little summon build here. Early in Lair, we get an Ice Cave, and man, this thing was chaotic. Zom blinks us right next to an ice statue pretty early on, and then blinks us again behind the ice statue near a pack of enemies. So I didn't even get time to fight the ice statue and kill it. So now if you look at the mini-map, we're actually trapped here between these enemies and the ice statue, which I'm more worried about the ice statue actually because of its summoning ability. And so we're getting our battle sphere up and we're casting Sandblast. For 1 mana, we're getting, what is that, like 4 dice of damage, I think. Just really good mana efficient damage. Stepping back here in case we need to use our Surprising Crocodile to get away from Constriction. Blinking us again now across the map, or I should say teleporting us across the map next to the Freezing Wraith. Now this is scary. We get slowed, we get chunked for like a fourth of our life. Just pulling back, using Crocodile, which it one-shots again and again, and then eventually Battle Sphere takes it down. These types of areas, these closed off, small tunnel type areas, are really scary with Zom, because when he teleports you in a place like this, it's probably going to be to a bad location, and you're probably going to be cut off. I'm feeling a lot better now because we have like more than half the map revealed, I guess, and multiple pathways behind us to escape. But those early teleports were rough. Really dangerous stuff. So we do have the 1 pip of cold resistance here. And we actually have a ring of ice which we're going to pop on at some point in this cave to get 2 pips. So, relatively strong, really. We have good mutations here, I'm showing. But obviously, everything in an ice cave hits pretty hard. These simulacrums in particular have a big burst of ice damage that you've got to watch out for. And so we're just being very careful not to get into melee with simulacrums of things that are really dangerous, like hydras. Trolls can be pretty dangerous, and so on. So you just got to check what the simulacrum actually is, what kind of thing it's mimicking, because it will copy the base damage and then add on a % of ice damage on top of that, which is really scary. Here's a 2-headed ogre. These things hit really hard. showing off in this cave too how good Surprising Crocodile is. Even when it's not doing damage, even when it's getting one shot, which it did several times in these fights, it puts a gap between you and the enemy and moves you away. So, I think of it as a movement spell first and foremost. If your summon sticks around and does some extra damage, great. But if it doesn't, and all you've done is create a space between you and the enemy, that already, in my mind, puts it into like the top 10 spells in the game category. There are not that many things that you can summon in a particular location and create a gap. So we pick up this really awesome ring that gives us fly, 2 pips of cold, arc corrosion, mana. So we get that on and we wear it the whole game. Really great find. Getting both the Scarf of Resistance and then the Leather Armor of Resistance just sets us up perfectly going forward from here. So then we're back into Lair with the first of 2 pretty difficult fights. Zom blessed us with several summons, including a World Binder, which becomes critically important here. Summoning elves for us, 3 or 4 different elves. So we're really conscious of keeping it alive, which is why I step in here to shift it out of the fight. Didn't really count for much when I stepped back out and it switched straight in. But it's going to keep living here a little bit longer. And our elves and now a dragon really doing work for us. Just heavily using our movement ability from the crocodile and getting in some battle sphere shots every time we get a chance, as well as some shots from the Wand of Mindburst. Trying to keep in mind that we have to have our summons all within our line of sight, or rather at least within the part of the screen that we can see for them to do damage. So the game plan is to pop a Potion of Invis and then circle down towards the stairwell here, keeping everything on the screen so that my minions can keep doing damage to them. We've popped the Animate Dead spell, so we can start reanimating some of these guys as we kill them. And of course we still have Haste and Brilliance, which are from Zom, protecting us. And now we're just going to clean up with Animate Dead. So this is the second of those difficult fights, the much more dangerous of the 2. I don't realize that quite yet as the enemies keep spawning. But what this turns into is quite a long, drawn-out fight. Just trying to break my way in to Layer 5 here. And each stairway we go down, we're finding packs of enemies. So the first one we're hit with wyverns and rats. The next one is elephants, and then another one with more elephants and frogs. Layer 5 can be like this sometimes. It's often an open center area. Often lots of enemies swarming the stairs. So not too uncommon. But the difference here between this character and what I'm usually playing is that this Gnoll does not have Ash to boost its skills. And so it's experiencing the standard mid-game Gnoll slump, which means our defenses are low. We're getting beat up by rats and frogs here. And our spell power is low, and so on and so forth, right? I mean, just a really good example here of why I like to go with Ash on the Gnoll, because, this deficit would probably have resulted in a much easier fight here for us. It's hard to say. Every fight's different. Every game's different. But, you know, on average, you're going to have an easier time with Ash. That's just the truth of it. Zom, however, is seeing fit to buff us with haste, I believe he gave us here. And we're just making good use of our Golem Forgecraft summon. Letting it tank, staying next to it, you have to be adjacent to it for it to attack or trigger in any way, which can be a bit tedious. But it works alright, it hits hard enough, that's for sure. And when it dies, then it makes that fireball. So the thing we're fearing the most here is that dragon, because the dragon can smite target us with electrical damage, which is why you saw me switch into the Staff of Air. But the Reap is going to start paying off now, the Animate Dead buff. Start getting a few helpers, which we immediately blow up with the Golem there. But still net positive. We've still got that butterfly scroll from the beginning of the game. Haven't saw fit to use it. Just wanting to stay away from those elephants. Obviously, they're the big damage dealers, and they move us around against our will with their trample ability. So just using movement abilities to stay out of melee range of them. And you're going to have a much better time the more summons you get up, the more reanimated dead, and so on and so forth. So you see me playing a lot in both of these fights with positioning, using my summons, stepping around them, stepping through them to trade places, and so on. So we go with the enchanted armor there instead of the resistances for now, because we don't need the extra resistances in Lair. And we get yet another elephant pack coming in. Luckily, just elephants so far. You notice there I'm not next to my golem, so it's sleeping, so I try to step in closer. Decide it's not worth it to stay close. Second guess myself, step back in, get the explosion. So yeah, not the most elegant play there. But certainly good enough in this case. Just stepping around now, trying to avoid having too many of them by me at once. Happily using the Trident of Drain to give the Drain status effect to all the elephants there, just kind of one-tapping them until they get the Drain effect. And we end up cleaning them up. Summon Forest is an easy spell to pick up at this point of the game. If you're really needing something else and Summon Forest is close to being online, it's really never a bad option. It's clunky to use, no question. You got to keep your Dryad alive. And it likes to run into battle. But it just, you know, that many enemies being, or that many allies being summoned onto the screen and then getting the constriction from the vines is just really powerful. And for not very much mana. Easily cleaning up Kirki's pack here while blocking her line of sight so we don't get polymorphed. So let's skip ahead to the S branches. We're starting here in Snake, and you can see we got 2 pips of fire, 3 pips of cold, and a pip of every other resistance as well. So looking real good. So here's a neat little hard counter to Zom when he summons things for you, and you've got Yara's Violent Unraveling. You just hit each one of them once with that. Problem solved. Works on every summon. Later on in Snake, now we're trying to get into the Ruin Vault. And we open up with Summon Forest, put down our Hoarfrost cannons, get out the Battle Sphere, and then we're just trying to be as mana efficient as possible at this point, because we know more and more enemies are going to come around that corner. So we're still using Sandblast. You get to see gameplay here with the Hoarfrost cannons causing the frozen debuff on our enemies, which is a viable target for Yaras, which works extremely well. I've pointed this out in previous videos, and it has become a new favorite of mine realistically, because Hoarfrost Cannon is a nice mid-game spell, kind of like Forest. It can really get you through the slump in the mid-game when you're kind of looking for end-game stuff, trying to stabilize and whatever. Hoarfrost just really fills that gap, and so does Forest, and they'll carry you right through S branches and into vaults and so on until you can really find some better spells, better gear. Really good gap fillers in some sense. Our other S branch was Shoals, where we picked up or got online the Hellfire Mortar. Now it's still at around 20% fail rate, and we're casting it anyway. The funny thing about these spells, and all Forgecraft spells are the same way, is that the downsides for miscasting them are really meaningless in a lot of ways. It's a little bit of corrosion usually, and so it is well worth casting a spell like Hellfire Mortar and getting corroded even once or twice. Just the power that it has is well worth that. So here we are looking for the Ruin Vault on Shoals 4, and just showing how this game plan works with casting Hellfire Mortar on cooldown more or less, and that works with your forest in such a way that if the trees get hit, they'll light on fire, and that can be useful, especially in shoals, because fire creates steam over water. And then the Hoarfrost cannons plus Yaras works well, and we're just filling in the time with Sandblast, triggering the Battlesphere. So after we clear up the S branches, we head into Vault. And here's a list of our mutations that we have right now. Still carrying that negative potions mutation, and Clarity are the big ones that we want to point out. So game plan in Vaults, pretty similar story here. Putting Servitor now in front of the Hellfire Mortar, pushing it into the fights, and using the Hellfire Mortar's lava to block doorways, so that we can now stand in the entryway to the doorway. Melee enemies can't hit us, only ranged enemies can. And we're just sending it in over and over and over, which isn't super exciting gameplay, but it is sure effective. And now we head back to Slime here to pick up the third and final ruin. It's worth mentioning here that Servitor isn't using Sandblast. It's been upgraded to Bombard at this point, as we have as well. Bombard's on less than 10% fail rate. So we got the vault with the center loot chamber, and you got to go around the outside to find the royal jelly, but he comes to me. So we're looking at our options. We don't have a ton of haste or brilliance, which sometimes I would like to pop. The game plan here is to block its path to some degree and block its summons to some degree with Hellfire Mortar. But you also want to keep Hellfire Mortar on the screen as long as possible. So I shot it up, and then I'm walking away. And as soon as it despawns, I'm going to summon it again. There's the haste pot coming on. So we'll cast Hellfire Mortar again to try to cut some of those slimes off. And the thing to worry about here really are the rock slimes primarily, because they have trample and do 50 damage each. And the Quicksilver slimes, which can silence us with Engulf. So I end up deciding there's a lot of guys on the screen and I'm not getting enough damage out there. So we read the immolation scroll and just start blowing stuff up. That strategy alone is completely viable in Slime. but when you have the Mortar as well, and the Hoarfrost cannons and the Servitor, it really just causes a lot of fiery chaos. It's great. You know, and that factor alone is the reason that I think it's worth going to Slime over Vaults for our third ruin, because you basically always have Immolation Scrolls. And Immolation Scrolls plus a bit of damage from something, whatever you might be using, is basically enough to do Slime. You just have to be really careful with your positioning. You know, the less positional magic, the less controlling type spells you have, the more careful you've got to be about positioning. Just entering depths here, and we have extremely good resistances. 2 pips fire, 3 pips cold, 1 pip everything else, 3 pips will. Looking great overall. Spells, Hellfire Mortar is online. Spell Spark Servitor with Bombard is online. We've got Yaras, we've got Gills, and Malign Gateway, all castable. So feeling strong on spells as well. And then it's worth pointing out that Zom has been very generous to us with mutations the whole game. He changes some in and out all the time, but always leaning pretty heavily towards positive mutations over negative, which is surprising to me that he's been so generous, or absolutely net positive, no question about it. So we have Clarity, which I love being an Ashenzari player. Plus willpower. I mean, there's very little hex-related stuff that can hurt us at this point. I wish we could get rid of that potions bad mutation, but yeah, not too worried about it. We actually have like 11 or 12 potions of mutation if we wanted to do anything with this, but I'm not going to risk that with this, you know, massively net positive set of mutations here. So we're on the game plan of Hellfire Mortar first, then Servitor, then the Hoarfrost cannons, which, as I pointed out in a previous video, allow us to trigger Yaras on any enemy hit. See if I can show that off right here. We can push along our Servitor, which I can't show off right there because it disappears just in time. But yeah, easily clearing the entrance to depths. Oof. I assume that was just my mutation pulling me there. Okay. Well, I think actually I'm just going to read teleportation here. Yep, that was a good call. We don't need to fight that, I don't think. Oh, and nobody here too, wow. Grinding noise, that's going to be Caco Demon coming. And there's Nikola. Okay, so we'll do that. And then I'm going to attempt to shift away from Nikola. That ought to do. Nikola is always scary because his damage is bugged in this version of the game. It's a bit overtuned. So we're just being very careful here about that. I'm hoping my Nikola can take him. Well, we let him hit us once, so that's not the game plan, but I'm doing okay. Ooh, that was a bad miscast. That was the last of my mana. Conservator, take him. Close enough. Oh, come on. He shot right through that gap. I've been getting really bad luck with those mutations. Well, that's not great. 2 double frailed, 20% off health. Fire vulnerability. Makes you wonder if mutation potions are worth drinking here, or if we continue to be patient. Okay, we got flanked a little bit. But I like standing in this position right now because the wasps can't go through me. Wow, did I miscast that? Yeah, on 1%. Oof. What do I want to do here? I don't like most of my options. Okay, that seems like the right one now. Ooh, is this the Enchantress pack? Potentially. It is not, luckily, because Zom felt like moving me up here. I have 7 potions of magic, I'm realizing. Maybe that's worth drinking. Yep, that's going to be the solution. We're going to make a wall here. Then we're going to shift everybody behind that wall of lava. check fear scroll here, I think. $64, 90%, almost no percent, 90%. Yep, fear scroll it is. That wasn't what I was hoping to see. How much damage can he actually do? 3d24, so it's like 60, 72, which is more than I got. I do have pip resistance. Could he actually kill me this turn? I think the answer to that is yes. I have no mana. Wow. Yep, okay. Damn, that's a real bummer. I'm gonna have to blink away. And then the question is, what do I do? Teleport? Well, that's really not what I wanted to happen here. I can read teleport, drink ambrosia. Wow, that was a terrible teleport. My God. Potion of Resistance does give me a pip of negative. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Why does it not? That doesn't make any sense. And I'm still confused. Okay, so the only thing I can do is curing. And then I have Hellfire Mortar up. Chances of not good. Not good on that. Let me check his range. Range is 5. Okay. That gives me another option. Pull him away. Okay, we're in a situation here where every one of these enemies is now a real threat. This guy because of LRD. That's very scary. I only have 1 pip of fire resistance now, and so this becomes scary. If this works, it kills the dragon. It's at 1%. Okay. Large chance to hit. I had to step away from the wall so LRD doesn't kill me. Jesus, what a entryway there. What is the button for sisters? It's F. Okay. This is a bit of an awkward time to find Josephina. How about a phantom mirror for her? Kind of like that idea. Boy, what an entrance. Let's pop a haste. Step in. How much does she do? 3d37. Yeah, she's a scary one. I don't have anything to silence. Infinite willpower, of course. Is Gels the play? To get all these guys away from me? Oh yeah, he can't go for lava. Whoops. Man, I wish I had wand of warping or dispersion darts or something here. I think that haste potion just saved me. Because if I didn't have it, I wouldn't have made it up the stairs without getting nuked, probably. And now for Josephina Part 2. Wait, that was bad luck. Infinite will, I already checked that. Quicksilver, maybe? Yep, that did it. Ooh, boy, what an entrance. It's really compact too, which is a bit of a pain. Cursed toe is the scary thing here. Nothing else is very good either. Now he's mited. Oof. Oh yeah, of course, that was the torment. Boy, I really wonder if I shouldn't do mutation. I just got robust from Zom. What did I lose? See Invis. I got my mana back. I regenerate in front of monsters. Still have that potions debuff. I cannot seem to get rid of it. Let's see, let's try a different angle here. Let me debuff this guy. Okay, and we'll reset again. Same basic game plan. Get the toe. Thanks, Zom. We're going to do Revelation and get back home. What can we do with this? Well, that works pretty well. I hate it when I feel like I don't have poison resistance, but I do. I don't need to use that, we need to save it. This is Zot 4, so Zot 5 for our last Revelation scroll. Now the moment of truth. Is Zom going to help us or not? One step and we get teleported in. Astonishing. Wow. Zom, dude, what the hell? Okay. I have 6 blinking scrolls. There's a distortion trap right here. I can cover up with the mortar. Alarm trap there. If I blink right now, I'm away from the Dread Lich. It can't easily get to me. Man, I hate to use blink here, but in some sense I'm pretty safe. But you know, orbs of fire can shoot through this. Not immune to paralyze, that's for sure. I can dispel demons. I think I'm going to blink. I think I'm going to play this super safe. And I'm going to blink right here. I'm going to step. Of course. Okay. Okay, I think I'm going to defend my corner. Now, that is not how I wanted that to go. Are we going to get hit? Oh, nice, I can do this. Okay. Lich. Don't let that alarm trap go off. That's the game plan right now. Okay, that mission is accomplished. What's my chance to charm any of this stuff? Not good. Ooh, really good on the cob. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try charming. Nice. All right, Mr. Cobb friend, get me out of here, please. Okay. Oof, Tiamat. That's okay. Better to get him then when we weren't actually that scared. Or damaged, more to the point. Here he is. And he's alone. Now he sees us. Oh, did I miscast that? Man. Bad positioning on the tentacle. He actually has low hit dice to be able to be turned into a Sphinx, Shadow Dragon, etc. That's interesting. I still have Phantom Mirror. Nice positioning on that. Everybody focus him, please. Just gotta keep an eye on that tentacle. Got him. Okay, we're out of here. Just gonna jump ahead now to the end of the orb run. The rest of Zot 5 and most of the orb run was easy and relatively uneventful until we get right to the end gate. Oh, of course. Bombard and Drain Magic. What else? Is he fast? Can he see invisible? Can see invisible, can fly, only slightly fast. I have 2 blink scrolls, 3 blink scrolls, so we'll be using them. Here's what we're going to do. Blink. And blink for good measure. There we go. Win with Zom on the Gnoll. First time really playing Zom or Chaos Knight. And honestly, it felt pretty strong. Zom was nice to us for almost the entire game until depths, and then he started malmutating us. But, you know, realistically, Zot, he didn't screw us up in Zot at all. We had one malevolent teleport, which wasn't Zom per se, put us into the lungs, and that was kind of tricky, but not bad. Only really felt like I was in a dangerous or deadly spot in Lair when I just relied on consumables, and we expected that with the Gnoll, given that's when they're weak. And then again in depths, when we had the mutation that doesn't let our heal pots heal as well. And we got teleported around, ran out of mana, all sorts of things. Just kind of a bad setup. But overall pretty good. It took 6 hours. 6 hours and 22 minutes. That is super long for me on a 3-ruin game. So that's interesting. But yeah, pretty fun, really. Nice change of pace. No question about that. So that's the first win now on the path to Greater Gnoll. After this, I think that I'm going to go back to the best starts for Gnoll. So some of the spellbook starts, with the idea being that I want to try all the best options and really give them a hard play test against my standard Ice Elementalist start, so I can comment on all the starting spells and their relative strengths to each other and to the Ice Elementalist book. So we'll see which one's next. I'm thinking probably Summoner. Haven't played Summoner since the new dinosaur Seismosaurus egg came into the game, so kind of looking forward to playing around with that. So I hope you tune into the next one. Good luck out there.